Hello and welcome back. This time we are looking at lightning speed compute task execution and a whole bunch of very cool, useful tools to help us identify impacts of our columns. Let's get right into it. We are starting things off inside of SAS Information Catalog, where the search has received two new facets that we can make use of to identify which flows use certain columns. For that, we can go in here and search for step, and then you can see step input column and output column. This enables us to search for specific column names that are the in or outputs of a step inside of a flow. So let's search for the step input column called MSRP from the famous SAS Help course dataset, and we can see here that it's being used in 9 flows that we could now dig into. So we could say, okay, let's open this one up or explore its lineage. Actually, I've already opened this up, so let's switch over to SAS Studio, where we are going to take a look at a very new feature that is incredibly helpful. For that, we are heading over to the libraries pane, where we can take a look inside of permanent libraries like this WASO base library that I have here. And I have this data set here, HP price high. If I right click it, I have a new menu entry called View Impact Analysis. Let's open it up, and we can see here we have 2 pieces to this. First up is we can analyze which columns, we can select which column we want to analyze. In my case, I've selected price per HP. Now, with the forward look, we can see where this column is being used after it has been added to this table. So in this case, we can see there is a secondary flow called further processing, and in there is a visualize step, and then it's being used as part of the box plot topic. So from the column to the flow to the swim lane to the specific element that we have. And we can also look in reverse. Where did this column come from? So here we can see our impact analysis flow. Then we can see it's being used in the branch row step. And then there is the query step. And here we can see there is this route icon that indicates it was changed here. And we can see, okay, it must be created from these 2 columns. So let's take a look at this flow. And here we can see the query node. So let's open that up. And in here we can see, okay, it's a calculated item. So let's dig into it. And we can see it's MSRP divided by horsepower. So really cool way to help us understand how are columns being created, how they're being changed and used. This is really powerful from an end user perspective to help me quickly identify when, for example, I run into issues with my column upstream because someone changed the ETL flow downstream. Really, really cool to help us understand and identify issues faster. In addition to the impact analysis, we also have another new feature for our flows, which we can find on the right-hand side in the status handling pane. Here, we can add a condition that allows us to send the flow status to a table so that we can easily check that table, maybe run automated scripts on top of it to quickly understand how our processing is being done. Really helpful features, especially if you have large estates of SAS flows that you are scheduling. For the last new feature that I want to talk about, we are going to switch over to the developer.sas.com documentation, where we have a new endpoint, execute a task. This is a way to submit very short running SAS programs in an absolutely incredible fast way. And this actually shaves off on average like a second runtime if you compare it to the SAS job execution engine piece. So it's really helpful if you have very short or very responsive SAS codes that you need to submit. If you get into longer running jobs, that doesn't really matter. And this endpoint is really tuned towards low execution time jobs. So really quick turnaround, fast processing with, of course, all the web out, web in features that you're used to. Really highly capable, and I recommend you check it out, especially if you were running into performance issues with the job execution engine when you had quick turnaround jobs. So really, really cool. Let's switch gear and take a look at what the SAS community published in the last month. First up is a feature that I didn't get into because of this excellent article called Introducing the SAS Container Runtime Batch Agent. If you have worked with the SAS Container Runtime before, you know it's kind of transaction-based scoring. With this feature, you can actually just get it to run against a whole set of data and then retrieve the result at once. This is highly performant and super neat feature if you need to process large amounts of data on edge, for example, or way outside of SAS, right within these containers. Next is a handy introduction to the locate address verification steps that are available inside of SAS Studio. And the title, Data Verification Made Easy, is really true. And lastly, for those of you wondering what's the difference between SAS Compute and CAS, especially if you're not too deep into coding, this is a neat article that quickly introduces the concepts and that helps you to quickly identify when your workload is best suited for compute or CAS to make the most out of your environment. And finally, we have two new steps that have been contributed. The first one, Viya get report content, allows you to sync the actual structure of your report into a JSON file and then commit it to Git. This is not a replacement for the export feature of SAS Environment Manager, but can be used to document changes to your Viya report. And then we have the Viya get column explanation step that allows you to send a column from a CAS table against this step and then get a textual explanation of this column and its values in relation to other columns back. I hope you enjoyed these awesome new features. I mean, the extension into lineage and deep diving where columns come from are super helpful in my day-to-day work, and I hope they are as well in yours. See you next time. Bye-bye.